Hi everyone, I'm Sinobio,
And I'm Vikas, an FO.
and I'll be guiding you all through the Capital Group Banking and Funding Workshop. I'll be going through an introduction to what is Capital Group, your role as a financial officer, the funding sources that are open to you, how to properly withdraw and deposit money with bank requests, important contact information, and we'll finish with a MyGroups demo.
So, Zenobio, what is Capital Group?
Have you heard of the ASSU?
Yeah, I usually hear about it because of the Undergraduate Senate or the Graduate Student Council, and they usually advocate for Stanford students on lots of issues, and most importantly, handle the funding.
That's right. While they create policy and say what money can and can't be spent on, we are the body that executes this and coordinates transfer of funds with over 700 student org accounts. We fall under the SEC division of ASSU, and we're completely separate from the university, and students are the main employees here. The Student Store, Cardinal Ventures, the Cardinal Fund, and SSC Advertising are all part of SSC.
But what is Capital Group?
Well, Capital Group is the bank for student groups and is the biggest support system for financial officers on campus. We mainly process and audit banking deposits and withdrawals.
Okay, but what all does this have to do with me as an FO?
Well, almost everything. As an FO, you need to make sure your org doesn't go negative by creating budgets for funding expenses, acquiring funds, tracking spending, collecting documentation for all purchases, and handle all the necessary bank transfers for your group through mygroups.stanford.edu.
Wait, my groups? I tried going to the website, but it didn't give me access.
After this workshop, I'll be giving you MyGroups access, but first, you need to make sure you're registered on CardinalSync.
I'm listed as the current FO on CardinalSync already though.
That doesn't actually give you access to MyGroups. You'll need to go to the Profile tab in your org and then scroll down to the financial officer's name, and that should be your name. If it's not, then speak with your previous leadership or go up to Sal on the second floor of Old Union.
Okay. So I get access to my groups, but where am I even supposed to get any money?
Well, you have a couple options. Every group's banking account is essentially split into two types. The 2800 unfunded account, which is unrestricted and can be used for anything your group might want, but all this money comes from sales or donations. The other category of accounts are funded accounts. These accounts usually have sets of rules that limit what the money can be spent for, but there's a lot of options on campus to acquire this money. If you're in an undergraduate group, you have special access to funding from the Undergraduate Senate. For funding greater than $6,000 annually, you can apply to annual grants. For less than $6,000, you should go to standard grants or quick grants. For graduate student groups, you have two similar options: the general fees for up to $6,000 and special fees for greater than $6,000. A final option is the Stanford Fund that gives a maximum of $10,000 in exchange for stewardship hours with alumni. If you're applying for funds from the governing bodies, make sure to only request funds for the current quarter. Allow 2 weekends for processing, and make sure the committees are aware of your application through email. Also, make sure the description for your line items fits what the reimbursement will be looking for.
Are there other options for funding?
Yeah, the ones I mentioned are the most common, but there are several other options.
Okay, so let's say I got the funds to do what I need to do, but how do I actually use the money?
You move your money around using banking processes, which all follow a similar process. First, you submit the request through MyGroups, then you select the correct request type, and then you fill out the correct form. Your request will then either be approved or rejected. If rejected, you'll receive an email and your request will then have a note about why it was rejected. You can then correct your request and resubmit.
So what are the banking request types?
There's several types. To start off with the most common one, we have reimbursements and self-reimbursements. They're intended for reimbursing someone that has already spent money. In order for your reimbursements to be approved, you'll need both an itemized receipt and some form of proof of payment showing that you were charged. If it's a self-reimbursement, you'll need secondary authorization from your president. Here, I have two examples of documentation. Can you tell me if they'd be enough for reimbursement to be processed?
Well, for Sancho's, it looks like there's itemization and it seems like they paid with cash in the bottom. For Dunkin' Donuts, I can see both itemization and that the card was swiped. So I'd say both would be approved?
That's right. It gets a bit complicated sometimes though. Looking at this Amazon receipt, it seems like everything is itemized, and that the card might have been charged. But at the very top, it says shipping soon, which shows the card has not actually been charged despite billing information being provided. The Zipcart transaction provides a great example of what we want to see. It shows an itemization of all the fees, and at the bottom it says bill to, and $0 pending.
What if I lose or can't provide some documentation?
Well, if you lose your proof of payment documentation, you can always provide a bank statement that shows the matching charge, vendor, and your name. If you happen to lose your itemized receipt, you're allowed one lost receipt per person for a total of 2 receipts.
So if I lost 2 of my own receipts, I'd only be allowed 1?
That's right. There's a few other things to keep in mind. We do not accept Venmo, however, we do accept PayPal. Whenever you submit your bank statements, make sure that the listed charges are posted and not pending. For undergraduate groups, alcohol purchases greater than $75 must be registered on Cardinal Sync, cannot be hard alcohol, and can only be reimbursed from the 2800 account. There are no limits for graduate groups. The next type of request is an invoice. It's most commonly used for purchasing large orders from a company that sends invoices for things such as t-shirts. You submit an invoice to us through My Groups, and then we will make the purchase for you. The invoice should include the name of the company with the correct contact information, itemization of the order with a breakdown of the charges, and the total payment. Keep in mind to not personally pay the company when submitting an invoice, because an invoice is intended for us to pay the company directly. Also, invoices are made out to companies, not individuals.
So how would I pay someone like a DJ?
You'd use an honorarium for a DJ. Honorariums are intended for individuals such as DJs or speakers. The only proof that's needed for an honorarium is for the speaker to fill out a tax form. There is both an online form and a paper form that can be used depending on the situation.
Okay. What if I want to make a purchase, but I don't have the money and I don't have an invoice?
Then an advance payment might be what you're looking for. This is similar to a reimbursement, but you're given a check to deposit into your bank account before you make any purchases. We ask for proof within 14 days of the date, or else you'll be locked out of your account. Please make sure to bring all receipts to the front desk and make sure that your purchase does match what you're allowed to spend funds on. The final type of requests are the transfer requests. The purpose of transfer requests are to transfer funds between your account and another account. There are 3 types of transfers: account transfer, which is within your own accounts, group transfer, which is with another student group, and university transfer, which is for transferring funds to a university department. The process of handling a deposit involves creating the deposit request on My Groups, printing it out, and bringing the printout in cash or checks to SSC. We will then count the money and place the funds into your account immediately. A couple things to keep in mind are that you should organize the checks before giving it to us, so we're able to count it speedily, and that there are rules and regulations governing donations, which you can learn more about through SAL.
So that's all the requests?
2 more things actually. There are purchase orders, which are identical to invoices, except that they're intended for all Stanford vendors, and there's a federal tax ID request available if you need to prove nonprofit status to a vendor.
Is that all?
Almost. There's some important contact information that you should keep with you. Shown here is all the important contact information for Capital Group, and that's all I have. Thank you for watching. Now we'll go into the My Groups demo. So here we have the front page of My Groups. This is how it will look like each time you log in. You'll want to click Submit New Request to submit your first request. Here's all the types of requests that we spoke about in our presentation. We'll be going to reimbursements since those are the most common, the one you'll be doing the most. But as you can see, here's all the types. This is the form. To begin, you want to fill out the name of the payee. That's the person you're reimbursing. We'll do John Smith. If you're sending it through mail, put in the address, but if you're doing pickup, there's no need for that. The email is important so they can get a notification of it, and then mark it either pickup or mail. Pickup will be the front office of Old Union, and mail will be mailed to them. For processing, if you want to process within 3 business days, click this if it's what you need. Then we'll go next to go to the description. This is where you describe what you're reimbursing for. It's really important that this matches your reimbursements, because if it doesn't match it, we'll reject it. So keep this in mind. Also, if there's any special notes you want to mention, write them here. So here we're at documentation. So here we want to go to the documentation type, receipt, right? Write the vendor, who's the receipt from, and then write a simple description of what it is. So we'll just write pizza. And for amount, we want to write how much we're reimbursing the person for. Then you want to select the proper documentation. So you can put multiple documentations. This is a fake one, so we won't put anything. But here you would put the receipt and proof of payment. Then after you're done, you click add. If you have any other reimbursements for this person, you can still add them right now. So you would put, let's say, do another one. Then fill out the description, fill out the amount, and then select the add. Then that'd be good. Next, you go to distribution. This is where you fill in where the account is coming from. You'd have a list of all your accounts from 2800 to your funded accounts. We don't actually have any money in this account, so it's not going to work. But for your group, if you do have money, it should have the money listed there. That's all we have for you. So if you have any questions, make sure to go back to the contact information slide and contact us if you have any questions. Thank you for watching, and that's all we have.